Towns and landscapes in the Netherlands have long been a source of inspiration for Dutch artists. An exhibition of 17th century Dutch works is just ending its tour of the world. The show focuses on the rise of the Dutch middle class, a time of affluence and influence for merchants and shopkeepers, and a time when the middle classes took over from the church and the royal court as the main patrons of art. The traders were Holland's new aristocracy. They wanted the nation's artists to record and celebrate the success of the new ruling class. As the merchants climbed the economic ladder, they invested in pictorial reflections of their lifestyle. And the artists responded to the challenge, finding a dignity and energy in the status of their patrons, which lifts the paintings into high art. The baker takes on almost heroic proportions, and the crust on his loaves is detailed with loving realism. Man's taste in art may have changed since the 17th century, but his vices are pretty much the same. The soldiers and sailors who passed through Amsterdam 300 years ago were as ready to pay for a night of carnal pleasures as the tourists are today. And the city's middle classes took a perverse, perhaps self-righteous pleasure in paintings of the seedier side of life. Here, the lustful soldier tries to tempt the uncertain-looking prostitute with a handful of coins. This painting was long thought to have depicted stern parents admonishing their daughter. But again, there's money changing hands. The older woman is probably a brothel keeper. The university town, which above all others pioneered the new genre, was Leyden, the home of Gerard Douw. Like many of his contemporaries, but unlike so many other great artists, Douw made a comfortable living from his work. The young mother was sent as a gift to Charles II of England, one of the artist's greatest and most generous fans. As the Dutch art historian M.L. Wulfbeen points out, business was easy to come by.
Douw and Vermeers were very highly sought after. Cosimo de' Medici of Florence paid very high sums for paintings by Franz Vermeers, and there was a man, an agent called Spiering for the King of Sweden, who had the first right to buy paintings by Douw. Douw was one of the best painters in the town, and he was very active in Dutch genre painting, and I think he is important especially for introducing candlelight pieces. This is a specific activity here in Leyden which you will not find any other place.
The two greatest masters of this golden age of Dutch painting lived in the town of Delft. Johannes Vermeer lived alongside the main square, and his contemporary, Peter de Hoek, lived on the canal leading to the old church. Delft is a town full of picture postcard beauty, elegant architecture set off by the shimmering light that reflects from the canals. Both Vermeer and de Hoek were influenced by their surroundings. Clear, sunlit exteriors and sumptuous, orderly interiors. It was de Hoek who specialized in the vivid portrayal of everyday domestic scenes. He paints every detail, often carrying the viewer's eye from one room into another, and sometimes a third. The visitor will search in vain among Delft's canals and terraces for one of the most famous street fronts in the history of art, Vermeer's Small Street in Delft. The picture is so detailed you can pick out almost every brick and cobblestone. There are many candidates, but nobody's likely to find the exact street because much of Delft was destroyed by an explosion in the town's arsenal. One place you can find in consolation is the exact spot from where Vermeer painted his general view of Delft, with the tower of the so-called New Church dominating the skyline. Vermeer's two famous pictures of Delft can only be seen at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. One of the collection's precious Vermeers was once stolen and badly damaged while on loan to an exhibition in Brussels. So now the Delft scenes and the maid pouring milk will never be loaned again. Vermeer was not a prolific painter, and of the 34 works attributed to him, several are suspected of being forgeries. But along with De Hoek, he has given his name to a style of painting that dominated Dutch art for a whole century. The vast, open, flat landscape with its magnificent skies and picturesque windmills inevitably remained a favorite subject. But it's those urban scenes and domestic interiors that were chosen to represent the golden age of Dutch art in the exhibition that has been on world tour. Like Vermeer's Girl with Wineglass, where an amorous encounter seems imminent as the cavalier waits to ply the lady with another glass of wine. While soft light filters in through the stained glass window, adding to the seductive air. Lady at the Virginals with a Gentleman is one of Vermeer's most celebrated works. The lid on the musical instrument bears the inscription, "Music, companion of pleasure, balm of sorrow." And many of the paintings include music, while the human subjects are sometimes at work, often misbehaving, but nearly always enjoying themselves.